Welcome to the Mojo for Musicians podcast from Manny Cabo Media, where we dig deep into today's top strategies to help you take your music career to the next level, along with real, raw, and uplifting conversations with industry professionals that are making moves, making a difference, and making the best versions of themselves to inspire you to do the same. And for all of our Mojo Maniacs out there, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you like what you hear, please be sure to give us a positive review on your favorite listening platform. Support for the Mojo for Musicians podcast comes from Stedman, tools for the studio and beyond, because your voice deserves to be heard. Sennheiser, inspired by music. And Cranium, scientifically designed products for bald, shaved, and buzzed heads. So get your head in the game and own your dome. And now, here's your host, Manny Cabo. All right, welcome back, guys, to another incredible episode of, that's right, you guessed it, Mojo for Musicians, the source of inspiration for my amazing ecosystem of artists. And as always, I want to give a big shout out to my sponsors that make this show possible at Sennheiser and Stedman. As you can see, I'm sporting one of their t-shirts. Thank you, guys. And of course, Cranium. And today's guest, I got to tell you, it's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to get this guy on my show for a while. And the funny thing is, we've had numerous conversations behind the scenes, right? One-on-one, he's called me afternoon, some of the most tragic moments in my life, but yet we still manage to talk music. And in my personal opinion, I may be a little biased, they are the best rock station in the Garden State. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show my dear friend and the host of one of the longest running shows on WRAT Radio, Jersey Rock, my boy, Tom Hanley. What's up, Tom? And welcome to Mojo for Musicians, brother.
Manny Cabo, it is so awesome, and it's an honor to be on your podcast. You know, you mentioned it before. We've talked so many times on Jersey Rock, whether it's the on-air show or on the podcast,
right,
but it's always over the phone. We've never actually met face to face. So this is like a moment for us, historically speaking. Very cool to be on here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? The pleasure and honor is all mine. You know, and it goes to show you, right, as I'm doing this, as I'm behind the microphone, and for those of you who are radio personalities, you know that, anyone could start a podcast, anyone can be on the air, but to be great at what you do, to have a great, successful podcast, and have a successful career as a radio personality takes a lot of work, to the point where sometimes I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? So thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, the biggest challenge is finding guests.
Right.
And I was saying, I don't know if this was a questionable choice or not today.
Stop, bro.
You've always been available to be on my show. And, with Jersey Rock, obviously what we're going for is local artists, New Jersey artists, people that are out there. And for me, I go all the way from people that are just starting out, who are playing high school gymnasiums, to people like yourself who've been on NBC. We try to get as many different people on there because to me it all feeds into one another. And if you're especially if you're like a young artist or you're trying to make a break, hearing from people like yourself, hearing from other people, whether it's Anthony Kryzan calling up or Punky Meadows or whomever, when we get someone on there who has done something, it helps people who are trying to make it. It's one of the hardest things to do is to try and open that door and get into that world. So we can hear from people like yourself who are doing it. It makes that much of a difference. And I think that's where it all feeds into each other. It's always cool to have people who have been very successful and who are marquee players, but it's also awesome to have those young and upcoming people, because you never know, if they're going to be playing the Garden next.
Listen, that would be ideal. I've managed to play Prudential, and, we're doing a lot of shows with the Wizards of Winter, so I'm excited. But the Garden is certainly on my bucket list. That would be great. So from your mouth to the powers that be, make that happen, please. So, yeah, but it surely is. And that's what I appreciate about you guys. You're very eclectic. You're very receptive. You always support local music, and that's one of the things that I truly, truly relish and appreciate as an artist myself, because it has been a grind, let's face it. And I've had a relationship with the WRAT since, oh my God, I can't tell you. You guys gave me my first break. I remember Robin Lane. I was witnessing a show with my first band ever, Son, and she heard me sing. She's like, I don't know where you guys came from, but we want to showcase you guys on our next show. And she went on to give us shows opening up for bands like SR71,
Then Queensryche at PNC Art Center. That was epic. So, as you can imagine, I have always sedimented an incredible relationship and respect for you guys. So, certainly, man, and it has continued with you. You've been more than gracious, so understanding about my, the hardships that I've endured over this past year. Which you've called me in the middle of it all, and we still did an interview 3 days after my release. And to correct you, I make time because I love conversations every time you call. They're always heartfelt, and that for me principally is very, very important. It's not just, hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, good, great to have you on the show. You're genuinely, I should say, always interested in what's going on, and you always lend an ear. And of course, been supportive to my career and my supportive. So I definitely want to thank you for that. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. You're just a cool dude. You look good, as you guys can see when I post this. He's always dressed up as a rocker, evidenced by his posts. He loves what he does. And that's one of the questions I want to start off with, because that's essentially the impetus behind me having you on the show. Right, doing what we do, because let's face it, not everybody wants to be the shining light on stage. Not everybody wants to be the axe slinger. For me, the unsung heroes, the people that assist us in catapulting our efforts into that next level, are people like yourself interviewing us, generally taking interest in what we're doing as artists. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, did your interest in becoming a disc jockey initiate as an artist yourself, or did you always have this passion to be behind the mic?
Probably the latter. All my life, I've done things like this. When I was a kid, actually, I was an actor and model. I used to go to New York City all the time in the '80s, I've been rocking the Aquanet since '89. And
but you can tell, man, you're always so well groomed. I'm like, this is one guy who looks better than half the rock stars out there, man. But go ahead.
He's been killing the ozone there for a long time with all the aerosol. But long story short, I always did things within this realm. And then I was in college, and one day I was a freshman orientation leader, where what that essentially is you're a babysitter for freshmen to make sure they don't go too far off the reserve. And long story short, one of the senior higher up orientation leaders took a look at my CD booklet, which was full of '80s hair metal. Okay. So songs like
they're looking at you, Snake. They're looking at the C's. You're like, yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But he's looking at it and he goes, "Have you ever thought about doing a radio show?" And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Well, I think that your tastes would be cool if you did a radio show on our college radio station, WMCX, the X88.9." So I said that got me thinking. I'm like, "Well, I've always liked doing stuff like this. Let me see." And I went to the program director and I pitched my show. And normally you don't get to do a show off the bat. You do format. You do and the X was punk rock.
Yeah.
Our tagline was modern rock with an edge. So we did a lot of punk and hardcore. We were one of the first bands like My Chemical Romance, Yellow Card. We had that Jimmy Eat World tune before anyone. So that was where we were. But we also did specialty shows. There was a death metal show on Sunday mornings. It was like the Black Church of Nightmares. I forgot what it was called, but my show ended up being given a Saturday night 6 to 9 time slot, which was perfect to do an '80s hair metal show. They gave it to me off the bat, and from there, I did that for 4 years straight. And about a year and a half after I got out of school, I got an opportunity with the WRAT, which was I've been there since then, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, such a great crew up there, man. Always had nothing but great things to say, as I said before. I want to get to know you guys even that much better. And I know you're going to be seeing me in a couple of weeks, with the whole, with the event going on. Talk to me about the event. And this is one of the reasons why, again, I so highly appreciate you guys, not only as people, but, your message. You have a very powerful message, and that's supporting us musicians and what we do, but also supporting great causes. Go for it.
The coolest thing about working for 95.9 The WRAT is just how much this station cares about the local community.
It's true.
And that starts, at the top with our program director, Carl Kraft, with our general manager, Dan Finn, with our music director, Rockin' Robin Lane, our production director and drive time host, the real deal Jimmy Steele, goes all the way down the line. Everyone on the air on the WRAT, everyone behind the scenes on the WRAT. And I just named a few people. There's a whole army. And if I named every single one of them, I'd probably be taking a little bit too much of your time. But there's a whole army, and everyone there cares. And I always said we do this Thanksgiving broadcast every year, the broadcast for the people of New Jersey. And I'm not sure if it was Doug the promo rat who came up with it, or I'm not sure where it came from, but it's been around since the WRAT started. And I always said, this is the coolest thing we do. Well, last year we started something new, and I'm not sure if that's the coolest thing we do anymore or this is. They're definitely both same level of importance, because it's always cool when you can take, what you do, your love of rock, your amazing listeners who are really more an extension of you than they are your listeners. They're it's the Rat Rock Nation. We
Right,
call it the
right.
Rat Rock Nation for a reason. And you can do something that will actually positively impact people's lives. So for a long time, there's been this great organization called Ocean of Love. What they do is they provide families with children battling cancer in Ocean County, New Jersey. They provide them with financial support. Perhaps even more importantly, they provide them with emotional support. So they are there from the beginning to the very end of the story. And sometimes that end of the story is a great end, a great hopeful end. And sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But they're there even beyond that. Okay, if I can explain what they are, they're not just a security blanket. They are an all-encompassing wall of comfort, if you will, for people that are dealing with what is.
That's important, man. Especially under those grave circumstances, 100%.
It's the unthinkable, especially being told that your child has to face this, and I can't even begin to imagine myself the feeling of helplessness that comes with that.
Yeah.
So we are teaming with this organization. They've been around for a while, and they've been doing this Billboard Radiothon for a long time. But last year they decided they wanted to come to us and see if we could do it. And our goal was to raise over $109,000 for them. I think we raised somewhere in the vicinity of $170,000.
I was going to say that you exceeded that by
$170,000. No, it's not $170,000. And we got that because Gotts is he is the ambassador of the Rat. He is on the morning show with Carl and Dave. He does his show, the Saturday Night House Party, where he gets too many. It's a 4-hour show. He gets requests. He can do a 40-hour show with the amount of requests he gets.
Always on the air, man.
he's everywhere. He's everywhere. He doesn't
workhorse.
sleep. When he does sleep, it's on the couch at the Rat. So he's like arguably the hardest working man in radio. And and that being said, what comes with the star power is he also gets abused horrifically, to the extent where we sent him to Newark one time to hand out toilet paper when toilet paper was being taxed or something. He's been the guy that's been going out there in the trenches, if you will, on the front lines of everything we do. But at the same time, when he goes and does the crazy stuff, he's also the guy we go to for the important stuff. Right. So he's the guy that's going to take one for the team, go up to a 4-story tall billboard, and it's not like a normal billboard. They built it's a tower. It's like something out of a fairy tale almost, or a level of Donkey Kong, where it's a 4-story tower, and he lives on top of it in a little tent for 4 days and 4 nights. And it don't matter if it's raining or whatever, or if there's seagulls dropping stuff on him, he's there. And I'll tell you, I went up there a lot with him, and but the thing was, I could leave whenever I wanted to. He was up there, and it would be really easy to like roll off of that thing. And I'm just like, so we take precautions. They take precautions, but that being said, there is a little bit of a risk that goes into it as well. But he's the guy that he goes up there, so he's going to be up there, and we're taking donations a couple of different ways. One of which, if you want to donate right now, you can go to oceanoflove.org. That's oceanoflove.org. And, you can donate ahead of time or read all the stories about all the things they've been doing, learn about them. And people can donate right now if they want. Or they can come see us, 1331 Hooper Avenue in Toms River. It's the parking lot of the Target and the Lowe's. The Rat's going to be there 24 hours. We're always going to have our team there. The van's going to be there, probably a giant inflatable rat guarding Gotts's, tower. And we'll be there. And
I'm so looking forward to that too, man. I really, really am.
It's going to be cool. And we're going to have, everyone's going to be there. I'm sure Carl and Dave will be there at some point. Robin will be there. Jimmy will be there. So you can come down and meet the Rat, staff. I of course, will be there, and you can donate right on site. They do all kinds of things. You can donate and say, it doesn't matter if you're giving us $1 or if you're giving us $100,000. We don't care. Just come down and say hi, wave to Gotts. Let us know that, that this is important to you, because it's very, very important to us. And one of the things that they do with this is a lot of the people that benefited from Ocean of Love will come down and they'll tell their stories. And these are some of the most, to a certain extent, gut-wrenching things you'll ever hear.
I'm sure. I can't imagine.
At the same time, they're very inspirational, because people persevered through, again, horror, absolute nightmares. And, and this organization, this great organization, Ocean of Love, helped them out. So, Gotts learned, firsthand all of this. And one of the most amazing moments that I said was in Rat radio history was the last day. We hadn't hit our goal yet. Carl and Dave weren't going to do a broadcast live from there that day. We were just going to like keep, calling it. And Carl Kraft called an audible. He said, you know what? We're going to go live. We're going to go live from the site for the final day. But what they decided to do before they went live on the air was they went live on Facebook. And they decided that they were going to climb the tower themselves and wake Gots up.
Oh, they push the envelope on all levels, man.
And he'd only just gotten to sleep about an hour before. Because people come all through the night. People work at overnight. They get off work.
Sure, it's like a marathon, man. Of course.
Yeah. So he's there, and they woke him up, and he goes right into just talking about how profoundly this experience has affected him and what he's heard, what he's seen over the last 4 days. And you really get the scope of just how much bigger this is than just a rock radio station and its amazing listeners coming through. This is a very, very big deal. And again, if anyone who's experienced this in their life, I'm sure can attest to what it means to live under this level of uncertainty, this level of fear, and to a certain degree hope. But sometimes hope can be a double-edged sword.
Of course.
So he got all that, we got all that, and him saying it live on Facebook, no filter, on a live video after just being woken up that day, I thought was just an amazing moment for us. It's actually, if you go to the WRAT's Facebook page and scroll down, because we post videos like crazy, but if you scroll back a year, you can find that actual video.
See, now I'm intrigued. Now I got to check it out. But it goes to show you, though, during Hurricane Ida, people were like, how can Manny go on live? I was shedding tears. It goes to show you how powerful the element of full transparency, right? When you truly are dedicated, full-fledged, support the cause, when you're actually telling everybody, guys, this is not easy for us to do. We're here to provide entertainment, but also share these heart-wrenching stories that are actually transpiring on a daily basis. And you're bringing awareness to a narrative that many people don't know. And when you open yourselves up to the public who actually support you for many reasons, then it's a recipe for success. To do something out of the ordinary sometimes, those audibles are the miracles that need to happen, and that's when wonderful things and praises start to just flow in avalanches, because people are like, wow, these guys are real dudes, real ladies, real team, a real family out there doing something that's uplifting for the community, and that's why it went well. I believe that great energy brings forth, some incredible results, which you guys evidently have done for so many years.
And you're a guy that's always putting positive energy out there in this world. Even when I was talking to you after what you went through, and you've got that Rocky Balboa mentality, and it's about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And that's who you are, and that's why we are so stoked to have you involved in this. I didn't even mention this yet. We're kicking this whole Ocean of Love Billboard Radiothon thing off on Monday, September 19th, 7 p.m., right below that billboard in the parking lot of Target and Lowe's, 1331 Hooper Avenue, Toms River, with a free Jersey Rock kickoff concert featuring Nick Ryan on the Mess, Jared Clemens in the Late Nights, and none other than the man on the other side of this microphone, Manny Cabo. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
That's a lot of fanfare for a bald guy in a microphone, but you know what? I will gladly take it. Thanks so much, Tom. And I do want to ask you a couple of things, especially for our listeners. I had a couple people ask me, because we have many listeners out there, both females, males, the whole 9 yards, that would love to get into the disc jockey realm of everything. They love what we do. They love the podcasting. They love being on the air. They love talking to guests, and sometimes it's a fun position, right? Because I've been on both sides. It really is. But the work, the hours, as you already mentioned, is grueling. But what do you think are the most necessary skills that you need to be a successful disc jockey or personality, air personality, as I like to call them?
It's always changing. Last night, I was at the world premiere of Clerks 3 in Red Bank.
Oh, my God.
Kevin Smith was there, did an amazing Q&A. By the way, if you're a fan of Kevin Smith's films.
I'm a good friend of Scott Schiaffo, who was in the first Clerks.
There you go. And if you love the original Clerks, this is the movie to see. But anyway, getting back to what you said, someone asked Kevin Smith about making it and doing what he did. And he flat out said the path that he took doesn't exist anymore. The path that he took, winning the Sundance Film Festival, doesn't exist anymore. The path that actually getting to radio doesn't exist anymore either. It's constantly changing. there's less opportunities now. So if you want to succeed in radio nowadays, you've got to have more than just being able to talk onto a mic. You have to have more than knowledge of music. You have to have more than the personality. You need skills like social media skills.
Yeah.
You need to be able to go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and they're starting to roll into TikTok.
Sure.
You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to do.
Well, you're a brand. You're a business. That's what you are at this point.
You have to be able to, yeah, and podcasting. What you're doing. This is a lot of companies view this as being the wave of the future because people can listen to podcasts anywhere, anytime. That's why there's a Jersey Rock podcast. The real reason there's a Jersey Rock podcast is we get so many submissions that it would be impossible to feature everyone on the air. Yeah, so we do the podcast so we can feature even more bands. But it's become an even bigger extension because it gives us that online show that's available on demand. So if somebody wants to get into radio and like be actually behind the mic and do this, you need to be able to do the social media game. You need to be able to podcast. You need to be able to write. You need to be able to write feature articles. I've been doing the writing on Jersey Rock for forever because that's always been a component of Jersey Rock. But now more and more radio companies are expecting DJs to write a couple articles a day because they want that content for their site. And if you look at it from the perspective of I'm a WRAT listener, maybe I care a little bit more about what Jimmy Steele, our drive time host, has to say about a subject matter than some reporter who works for the company that I don't know. Now, we have a great reporter. We have a bunch of great reporters who work for the company, write amazing articles. They're also up on our website. Erica Banis is one of the ones I can think of off the top of my head. But the idea is because radio is local and radio is personal. So they want their jocks to be able to do it too. Sure. So you're going to have to be able to do that. You need to have people skills. You need to be able to answer a phone and talk to somebody. You might pick up the phone and you might be talking to someone on another line who is contemplating suicide. And when I say contemplating suicide, I'm not talking about like in a month or two. I'm talking about tonight. So you need to be able to have the skills to talk somebody off a ledge if you have to. Or at the very least to give them that little ray of hope that maybe gives them, what it takes to not maybe even make it to tomorrow, but to make it to the next hour. That's a real part of this. That does happen. So you need to be able to answer the phone and talk to people and connect and not just be some guy that's like, hey, daddy-o, I'm spinning stacks of wax. That's not what it is. You've got to be a person and be able to connect. That's the most important thing. And probably the most important thing beyond any of that I could say is that it's important for the DJ or any of the personalities to understand, whether you're doing a specialty show that's syndicated on multiple stations, or whether you're a brand new guy doing an overnight shift and you're just a part-timer. It's not about you. It's about your audience. And, whether, you have to understand what they want to hear and what they want you to play. And I'm not talking about being phony or being lip service. What I'm talking about is if someone's tuning in to listen to 95.9 The WRAT, well, they expect to hear rock music and metal and stuff like that. But they also don't expect me to go on a long rant about something completely unrelated, whether it's for my love of 1980s action cartoons.
Oh, I get it. Sometimes the ego gets in the way and we forget about that stuff. And you're right. It's just like an artist. I'm up there performing. Sure, I'm doing it for me, but there's a level of expectations that you need to cater to with your audience. So I completely get it. And you're right. These are the people that sustain your career. Without your listeners, you have no job. So the least you could do is cater, to their requests, to what they want to hear. And it's okay to share a little anecdote from here and there, but some people, it's not like I'm talking about War and Peace for a whole 45-minute dialogue. Yeah, you're right, of course.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's knowing your audience and knowing that, knowing that you're not some guy sitting up atop a hill looking down, throwing things at them. No, you're all on the same team. That's the whole Rat Rock Nation thing. You're all together because as well as I do that you're nothing without those people. They're the ones who make it possible for you to do what you want to do. And for me, it isn't even just the listeners. The listeners and the local music scene. I need them both. They're what allow me to do what I want to do. So when I do my show specifically, I'm not just talking to the typical Rat Rock listener. I am. But I'm also talking to the person who maybe wants to play a gig somewhere someday and hasn't had their chance yet and is trying to figure out, how do I do this? So to me, that's my audience. So again, it's very important to be able to connect with your audience, to be able to write, to be able to talk, edit. Got to be able to edit. If you can't edit audio, you're not going to cut it because more and more people are being asked to do more things. My job isn't just on air. The on air part's the fun part, but I'm an assistant production director. I deal with commercials. I deal with syndicated shows. I deal with a lot of stuff. Some of it's really cool, some of it's really fun, some of it's super mundane. But that there's so much more to it. People do a lot more than just being on the air. So
Right.
you got to
Being
be able
the
to do a lot of
personality of I
yeah.
get it, man.
You need to be able to multitask and do all that stuff. And also, you can't have thin skin. You've got to be willing to take criticism. Sometimes that criticism might be from your program director. Sometimes it might be from a caller. Sometimes you've got to be able to take criticism, understand that you're only as good as your last break,
Right.
and also at the same time, well, you have to absolutely care about what people think about you. You also have to trust yourself and not get so hung up on it. And when you're on that mic, you might be talking to 300,000 people in that moment. You can't look at it that way. You're not. You're talking to one person. You're talking to that person in the car, driving to work or driving home from the show. You're talking to that one person sitting at home, making her morning coffee or whatever. You're talking to one person. I don't believe in saying things like, "Hey, you guys," or "Hey, you." To me, it's you and me. So if I'm on the air, it's that Rush song, "Spirit of the Radio." What was the line that Getty says? "A companion, unobtrusive." That's what you are. You're their tag team
It
partner.
sounds like a Rush lyric, trust me, but go ahead.
That's a great song. But you're their tag team partner. So you're there to be that companion, and you're talking with that one person. You're not talking to 300,000 people. Sometimes obviously we'll do things like if it's a big call to action, like we need people to come to the Billboard radio. That's like Rat Rock Nation, we need you. But in general, it's just me and you. So understanding that personal aspect, that's what radio is, more so than television, more so than most things. Social media and podcasting has that certain personal element to it as well.
Yeah.
So if you can get through all that, believe in yourself, but not have an ego. Don't believe your own hype, but believe in yourself. And I believe they're two different things. Knowing I can take this challenge, but not thinking that it's all guaranteed. It's nothing.
Yeah, there's a delineation between confidence and conceit. So
Yes.
I completely agree with you 100%. And then that's what, again, and I have to really edify you guys, because that's exactly why I wanted you on the show, because everything that you've been just spewing over the past 20 minutes, I completely coincide with, right? It's perfect. It's exactly what I needed to hear. And sometimes it's so much easier to say, I'm just going to shut up and let Tom tell you if you don't believe me. You know what I mean? Because it's so true. And that's why doing what I do right now, why I'm so comfortable being behind the mic as an on-air personality, it's the same. I'm just carrying over what I do on stage. And like you said, I'm still having my conversations. When I'm singing, but those are still conversations. Those are still stories, right? Those are elements of entertainment. I'm still entertaining, but sometimes I get a little bit more serious. We talk about some heartfelt issues and topics like we've just discussed here in the past, 20 minutes already. And it's so refreshing to hear you say that, because so many, like artists alone, they miss the boat and they're their worst enemies because they don't understand. The things that you think are the most important are the least. It's not about how great you play guitar, how great you sing. I know that. I'm not the best singer in the world by no stretch. I've had to cultivate my voice. Being on TV was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So I had a lot of, mental stamina. It was a mindset. But I also enjoyed the journey, and I tried to uplift everyone around me, to live in that moment. And I believe in good karma. And the reason why you guys have been so successful is because of what you're doing. You're catering to that need. During the pandemic, obviously, radio personalities went through the roof because people needed that connection, which you provided. And I was there. I witnessed it all. So thank you, on behalf of myself and all of my listeners, obviously, for what you guys have been doing. And I'm grateful that you graced this podcast with, whatever the 30 minutes. And I promise I have one last question for you before I let you go. And then you can go back on to and rock the rat world as you so graciously do, Tom. So before you take off, how do you acquire, the knowledge? How do you stay up to date with this plethora of information as effectively as you do? Give me a minute.
I don't know if I have a minute. That's a lot.
I know it is, but you know what? Give me the condensed version, the Cliff Notes.
You have to be plugged into everything, whether it's social media, whatever. listen, look, they say like, if a good police officer, if he's trying to catch a fugitive, he's not going to like search everywhere directly. He's going to just take a step back, be quiet, and listen and look around.
Right.
Okay. I got that from a friend of mine who was an officer, and he caught a fugitive by doing that. Just take a step back and listen and look around. And if you pay attention to that, and you don't get so, muddled down in things, you can see the forest, not just the trees. And, for me, it's a little bit easier because I have that email address, and I say, hey, if you're in a New Jersey band, you want to be featured on Jersey Rock, here comes the shameless plug. Email me at jerseyrock@wrat.com. So I've got
Dude,
that.
I know that email by heart, man. It's funny when you mention it.
So I have that. That makes it easy for me. It's easier for someone who works at a station like the WRAT because people are drawn into that. But I also pay attention to social media. I see what people are doing, and sometimes maybe like an artist will because they're so busy won't reach out to me, or because they don't want to bother me because they've been featured before. But I'll see they're doing something, I'll reach out to them like, yo, you want to come on and do this? So I always look at all the social media. I look at what people are up to, and what they're doing. And so sometimes I reach out. Sometimes people reach out to me. And a lot of times, and we're at the point where we get so many submissions for Jersey Rock that sometimes it's hard to get them. By the way, if you're watching this and you've submitted to Jersey Rock, I will get back to you. Okay, I get back to everyone.
Hey, wait a second. I need to interject. I will attest to that because there's sometimes I've sent you emails, even to be on the show, and you can't take it personal because Tom is a busy dude. Could you imagine? I know you get hammered with emails, so I'm just supporting you on that one, brother. Don't worry.
Well, I wasn't blowing you off. I missed several because we've been trying to do this for a long time.
Yeah.
But so I always try to get back to everyone. I don't care if you are a high school kid and you have never, done anything yet. If you are producing quality music and you're playing live gigs and you're recording stuff, I will put you on. Same as someone like you who's been there and done that, So, I try to, always just stay open to everything. With Jersey Rock, my personal preferences are within the realm of like that song that you did when you killed it on The Voice. What was it? Here I go again. Yeah. So stuff like that. That's where my center is. Personally, I'm a hard rock and metal guy, but I don't care if you're acoustic folk Americana. If you are in that spectrum of music that has a live band with guitars and drums and stuff like that, I will listen to you. Sometimes a DJ might get it goes back to the whole audience thing.
Yeah.
A DJ might get so hung up on the idea of playing what they think is the best thing ever. And you've got to take a step back and realize that maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but you understand that there's more to it than just what you think is the best. So when I started taking a step back and listening to everything and appreciating the musicality of it all, whether it's music that I like or not, the fact that these people are producing high quality content, maybe it's not my favorite genre, but it might be yours. So I try to play across the spectrum on Jersey Rock and stay as open as I can. So getting back to your question, if you want to stay on top of things, be open, be willing to listen, be willing to look, be willing to take that step outside of your comfort zone. Because when we go outside of the comfort zone, and this might sound cliche, that's when we grow. And that's when we make new connections like the one you and I made. And it's all about connecting with people. And if you could legitimately connect with people, you've done something special. And that would be like, hopefully, my answer to the question. I think I went a little long.
No, listen, bro, you nailed everything. I mean, I usually ask the last question, which is what your mojo. You answered that eloquently. You answered how to reach you, how to get in touch with you with respect to the radiothon coming up, which I can't tell you how David and I are just so looking forward to this. So I want to thank you so much for offering your time, for sharing this incredible amount of insight, such great bombs and nuggets of information that you've dropped with me today. So thank you for that. And again, looking forward to see you in a couple of weeks. Actually, I should even say a couple more days, so it's right around the corner.
September 19th.
There it is, brother. So thank you so much for your time, Tom. You're a rock star and you're all right. Give my love to the guys and the crew up there at the WRAT, and I can't wait to see that massive black rat with the shades and the vintage leather jacket. I could spot that thing a mile away, right? Now,
it's like out of a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it really is.
It's
like out of a monster movie, which I'm trying to say. I'm trying to find what's that Mothra and Godzilla and King Kong, those early 1970 monster movies, yo. All right, brother. Appreciate you wholeheartedly, man. Much love and success to all of you, and thanks again.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Manny.
Be well.
This has been a Mojo for Musicians podcast. If you're a musician, industry professional, or a voice with a powerful message and wanting to share your mojo and stories of success with our listeners, or simply share some feedback on today's episode, we'd love to hear from you. So send us an email at info@mannycabo.com. As always, much love and peace. Live to inspire. Thanks for listening.